if we could come to a point where technology could eliminate deception, how much more information could be shared and how much more could we understand?
What I don't know is if we cannot eliminate deception in ourselves, either self-deception or purposeful deception in others, I don't see how we can program that into our technology.
But I think we can if we can understand whether someone's telling the truth or not. If it's clear and glaringly obvious. If you and I are talking and I start talking to you and all of a sudden a green light pops up, which indicates I'm full of shit, you'll see it and I'm like, oh, my green light's showing.
No, but that assumes that things are either true or false. And that's just not true. That's not the actual world is way more nuanced than that.
Right.
So
unintended deception.
So, for example, I can think something is true.
Right.
And what you're basically saying, not to put words in your mouth, is that everyone walks around with a lie detector on their forehead.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. That's a bad example.
Well, you just said this, and
I know.
All right.
Yeah.
So everyone has a lie detector, and if I think something happened, even though it didn't, then I'm telling the truth. I'm telling you my own understanding of the truth.
Which is a problem with some people with some stories, right?
You can't then indict me for that truth being wrong if that's how I saw it. That's like the umpire. That's how I called it because that's how I saw it. The umpire's not being evil. That's just what they saw. So that's one problem with that. Another one is there's so many things that are, and that's what makes the world interesting, I think, so you want an example of where the truth is nuanced. I can't think of off the top of my head, but I'm just telling you that in almost every case where someone wants to turn a question into a binary answer, they're doing a disservice to human intellect, to the real world that's out there. I'll give you an example. So, how tall are you?
5'8".
5'8". Okay. Presumably you measure that with some kind of tape measure. All right. So are you 5'7 3/4"?
It's probably closer to that.
Okay.
I'm shrinking.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe you're 5'7 3/4". So are you 5'7 and 1/16 of an inch taller or shorter than 5'7 3/4"?
I don't know. We'd have to bust out a tape measure.
Well, so now, okay. So let's say you are within that. But wait a minute. The line that identifies a 1/16 of an inch itself has a width. So where are you within the width of the line that you're using to report how tall you are?
So we're giving rough measurements.
Anytime you give a measurement of something, it can never be exact.
But you get an understanding of it, like go a mile down the road and then take a right.
Okay, but if I have a truth serum and I say, was it a mile? No, it was 1 1/8 of a mile.
But what if you get to a mile and there's no right turn? Do you just shut your car off and starve to death? Or do you go, let me figure this out. It looks like 30 more feet, I take a right. It's 1 mile and 30 feet. Okay, I'm not going to nitpick. I'm just going to take a right, but 1 mile and 30 feet.
Your brain red light, green light device would say the person was lying.
Yeah, that device sucks. Forget I came up with that idea.
All right. I was just trying to say.
My thought was just eliminate purposeful deception. Like if you knew someone was lying to you, con artists, Ponzi scheme people, someone's trying to fuck you over. If you could be clear that what this person was doing is they're not really going to make you a lot of money. They're trying to rip you off with a pie in the sky idea.
Okay, you know what device that is?
Deception.
You know what that is?
What?
There's a device. It's called
logic.
Science literacy. That's right. How to know when someone else is. In fact, I just tweeted that recently. Well, Science literacy.
Your boy Steven Spielberg got busted in a Ponzi scheme.
Is the power to know when someone else is full of shit.
But if you're dealing with something like Bernie Madoff, right?
You look at his returns and say, these don't match anyone else's returns. How is this freaking possible?
Because he's a G.
Because you want to believe what he's doing.
Right.
And that's not his. Is it his problem or is it your problem? That you want that outcome so badly that you are allowing yourself to be conned. That's how conning works. So, as a scientist, you can never be too invested in an outcome because it warps your capacity to judge what is true and what is not.
Was Bernie Madoff's return substantially more impressive than anyone else who was doing it legitimately?
From what I read, that wasn't the point. The point was, it's not that his returns were much higher than everybody else.
They were consistent.
They were consistent. 10%, 15% every year, whatever it was. And everyone else was fluctuating, sometimes getting negative. He was always in the positive. Or when everyone else was negative, he had low positive. So, of course, you bring your money to him. So he has some magic insight into the marketplace that no one else has. Well, do you know how the statistics of trading works? Do you know... it's possible you can be lucky a few years in a row, but to do it for 10, 20, whatever long he was at it.
Right, but wouldn't it be easier if you just could clearly see deception? Like the idea behind any of these technologies is they're going to improve the way human beings communicate with each other.
Maybe he believed he was doing the right thing.
I don't think he did.
You don't think he did?
No, I don't think he did. I've heard interviews with him. He sounded like a pure sociopath.
Okay.
He really did.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, but there's a lot of cost in it.
Horrible cost.
So you turn a blind eye to the possibility that what you want to be true might not be true. And that burden of rationality falls just as much on the victim of that scheme as it is on the person perpetrating the scheme. I think in a free society, you have to arm yourself, equip yourself. And it's not just logic. Logic is overrated, I think. My favorite paintings in the world could not have possibly been drawn via logic. There's a creative spark that comes from nowhere. That, the painting Starry Night on the back of my phone. Is this logic? No. Is that what he saw? No. Although I can identify the day and the time of day when this image was in his head that he painted. It's
because you know the geographical location.
No. Even without knowing I could find out what latitude it is, and it turns out it corresponds with where he was. It's the phase of the moon and the location of Venus at that angle relative to the horizon. Oh. You can nail that. And so I got it for June 21st, 1889. Turns out that is the year he painted, and he was in northern. I forgot where he was, north of France somewhere, and so I can recreate that. But so there's some basics of it that are factual. The rest, clearly, the sky doesn't have curlicues in it. All right, and I'm told where he painted this, there is no town because there's a town in. So he made up a lot of stuff that's in this picture, but. That's not what he saw, but it's what he felt.
Well, it's just...
I value how people feel.
Yeah, sure. Artistic interpretation.
That is the full dimensionality of what it is to be human.